You want to start by talking us through Dom Sheed? Did you just think this can't be happening?
It was a warm-up drill, so it was, just a warm-up 5v3 sort of stuff we do every week for the last 2 years. So innocuous knock to the throat. I don't think it's a significant injury, but when you lose your voice and it's pretty sore. So the docs ruled him out yesterday. So
he went to hospital. Did he?
Yeah, just it's precautionary. Yeah, so I know there's when you go to hospital, it's a big thing, of course. So it's more precaution than anything. Breathing's important. So
fractured larynx, is that what they're saying? Fractured.
I don't know the medical term. I don't know if it's that severe. That sounds bad, but it's knock to the throat.
How long was he in hospital for?
I don't know. No, it's more just to get your scan, make sure you're okay, make sure it's not dangerous, because it's the throat. So I don't think it's not life-threatening at all.
Did you think it was a joke when they told you, or did you see it? Did you think...
No, I spoke to Dom on the track and he sounded like Darth Vader. So I thought, what's going on with you? He said, I just got a knock, and he finished training. So it's calm down. It's okay. It's not that bad. He finished training, but we just make sure we check it out, make sure it's okay.
Are you jinxed? Do you feel like you're
No. Look, it's just unfortunate that we've copped 6 collision injuries in the last 7 days, and that's the game. So we think we're making steps forward with what we're trying to do, and we've hit a bit of a bump in the road with selection. Not often you make 7 changes or 6 or 8 or whatever it is. I've lost count, but that just is what it is. So we've got to stay as positive and resilient as we possibly can.
But you say it's just a game, but you lost all those players in the Derby. Then Harry Edwards rolls his ankle, so unavailable. Then Sheed's unavailable. That's an unusual week by any team in any sport, you would think.
Yep. I'm not sure what you want me to do about it, other than just get on with it. We'll play some kids. Obviously it's in our planning to get these guys some exposure. That'll happen this week. They're all in pretty good touch at Waffle Eagles, albeit it's been scratch match footy, but and we're playing a pretty good opponent as well. So it's an opportunity, and we've got to stay as positive as we can. And we see it as obviously there's some long-term injuries there, but the fact we've made so many changes, it's not normal. So we'll be okay. It just might be a bit of a challenge.
What sort of risk is it bringing Elliot Yeo in then, if you do that? Or is there a temptation to put him in the waffle for a week?
No, he was going really well. So he's missed 3 weeks of footy. He had a full pre-season, ready to go. So it's not like he's coming off a long-term injury. So he was always planning to come back, whether we were missing 7 players or not. He was going to come back and play. So he's available to put his hand up, and he'll be right.
Do you expect the explosive Elliot Yeo that we saw in previous years and in pre-season to be out there this weekend?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think when he came back last year, the second time, he looked a lot more comfortable. We probably did him a disservice the first time. We just put him on ball, said, off you go, back to what you normally do. And the game's so dynamic at the moment, so quick and powerful, and it's gone up another level this year. So we need to be careful about what we expect from Yoey. So getting back in the side, get back in the rhythm, it'll take time. It won't be like that.
Is that you're going to
sub or?
Well, we'll work through that.
Yeah.
I think he won't be sub, but he'll be, we'll have to manage him a little bit. And just like there's probably 20, 30 players going through the same thing who come back into the side who you just look after a little bit.
He looked so good off half back last season when he did play. Is that kind of what you're thinking at the moment?
Yeah, well, there's a few spots up for grabs, so we'll mix that up a little bit. But we had a bit of a system there where we had Ruben and Yeo and Shuey working off the half back line and on ball. So we might do something like that, but we'll wait and see.
And with Liam Ryan, we were trying to figure out what happened and how it ended up being a hamstring. How did it all come to that?
Yeah, well, it was once again like how do you mitigate what happened? He just it was really dangerous. So we took to the scan to find out the severity of what happened, but he was feeling pretty good. So maybe that happens with tendons if you do them. It takes away the pain. I'm not quite sure. And Liam's pretty resilient, so. It took to the scan to find out the real severity of what happened.
The only one we haven't sort of heard about the severity so far is Campbell.
I'm not telling. I'm not telling. Chess is out for a while. You know, he hurt his knee in the second quarter, and then he ended up running 15 Ks and for a third game. I know he's been a bit scratchy, but the second half to do what he did, we're really proud. So, and he wasn't alone. A lot of our players had to fight through some issues just to have 18 on the ground. So, but that was last week. So we really got to look forward. I know there's a lot going on, but we've got to focus in on bringing effort this week and try and show some resilience again.
We're looking at this week. How do you tackle someone like Brodie Grundy in the ruck? You know, Bailey obviously fought hard last week.
Yep. Got to do it. We've got to. I mean, Gawn's out for them, so that's handy. But I thought our mids and rucks handled the situation last week with, you know, we lose the hit outs by 60, and I think we broke even or 4 or 5 down in clearances. So yeah, it's about your method. It's about how you set up structurally, and it's about effort. So that's the expectation again.
Simon Goodwin was glowing in the effort of West Coast last week. He said that you can see the obvious changes. The game style, you've been happy with your game style plus your effort. I know you mentioned that a couple of times.
Yeah, I've said this a bit. Like we're working on something long term, and you know, we've been working on it for a while, and we're starting to see little glimpses on game day with what we're training. So obviously, North game we didn't see a lot. The Giants game we saw, you know, was on show where. It's where the game is really. And then on the weekend, I thought it was probably more about just the resilience piece and the ability to stand up for as long as we could, albeit we got rolled. So, yeah, we're not the finished product, and we're going to be light on for personnel, but we're still going to continue to play the same way.
So you're brave to put. Ruben's done a great job sometimes running with players. Does he go to a Petrarca or an Oliver, one of those two? Or?
He won't have a choice. So, you know, he's a rising star this week, which is great. He's leading the league for tackles. He's pretty honest the way he goes about it. So I don't think we're going to see a massive fluctuation with form, but he's playing on the league's best players every week. But every team has a league's best player in it. So we feel like that suits him to go to the best. But this week, it take a pick. They're all pretty
learning
good.
thing as well, because, you know, Tom Green, I think he had Sarong yet last week, and then maybe Clayton Oliver, who's a Brownlow favourite.
Is he?
I was talking to Ben Cousins. He said he never played in the midfield in his first year, let alone playing on blokes like that.
Yeah. Look, I suppose there's just play, and then there's, look, you know, if you can look after this guy or keep an eye on this guy or start on this guy, and you learn a bit better that way. So it's a little bit unfair to stick a 18-year-old on these guys, but he seems to have handled it pretty well so far. But our expectations are around just exposure. You know, you don't have to be our best player. So that, and young Noah Long, I think, has adapted to the game pretty well as well. So those two we're really happy with, but, you know, it's not going to be a linear progression. There's going to be some ups and downs.
Do you need another tall defender then? Have you got anyone? You haven't got one, have you?
Not really. We'll be right. We'll make do. We'll find a way. You know, we've been hit with challenges for a few years now. So, and some weeks we've handled it really well, and some we've been really poor. So we want to bring effort regardless of who's playing, and that's our goal this week.
How do you balance things, going for the win, but also ensuring it doesn't get ugly given just the sheer amount of changes and the experience that you've lost?
Yeah, well, you need to play to win. Yeah, so we're going to do that, and then if we have to adapt, you know, we have to adapt. But that's what we're going in with.
And Barras, captain.
Yeah, has he captained before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, that's good for him.
His leadership and how he stepped up last year in the absence of McGovern.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's important for our leaders when you get these type of games not to try and overdo things. Just play your role is pretty important, and not try and, you know, support others to the point where you lose focus on your own game. So, yeah, Tommy, he's a bit scratchy early in the year, but on the weekend I thought he was back to his best, and, you know, he really, you know, thrives in adversity. So he'll be a good captain.
Do you use Rotham as a potential backup defender and potential backup ruckman?
We're thinking about it, but we'll see how we go.
Great opportunity for, and my eyes are a bit blurry in them glasses, those fringe players, Edwards, Clark, Foley, blokes that have been around for a couple of years and are thereabouts. Great opportunity for them now over the next coming weeks to prove that they are AFL players.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're fringe players, but they got some opportunities last year, perhaps when the form wasn't there and the fitness. So the one thing that's different is I think we had 14 guys play Waffle Eagles last week, so there's a bit this week, and they're all fit and they're all available and they're all in pretty good form. The poor old Waffle Eagles will have 3 available this week, so that's. But About like Rob. But the fact is these guys, they're more prepared physically, and their form's a bit different. So, yeah, hopefully we get to see them, young Hoff as well. Luke Edwards is still, he's played not much footy with his body. So just getting some exposure without putting too high expectation on these kids coming in. But it's something we've been planning to do, just not all in 1 week.
Yeah, you can't expose them all. I noticed you picked Greg Clark, so you can't just throw all the young blokes in. You need to have someone who's got a bit of age and experience around him. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Clark's knocking the door down the last couple of weeks, and so his form warrants select. He was the first one we picked, to be honest. So his form's warranted that. And young West, he's not too young. He's 24, 25. So those guys bring a bit of experience, albeit not a lot of AFL experience.
They're going to bring effort too, aren't they? Which is what
That's the goal.
Two blokes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to have a swing.
Are you confident we'll see Nick Naitanui this year, Adam?
Yeah, I'm optimistic. Yeah, it's been slow. So, and we're not, I think about a month ago, when we first announced it, we knew it was going to be a longer term, so we shouldn't have done next week, because it's a pain in the arse for me to answer the questions. So we always knew it was going to be a 4 or 5 week proposition, and now that's been pushed out to talking around the bye. So that's the reality until we get any further developments or improvement or no improvement. That's our goal still. So I'm still hopeful.
Have they had to change the way they're treating it or managing it or anything like that?
Look, the main issue is strengthening the muscles around the Achilles and inability to do that. So until we get that right, it's hard to get the Achilles right, because it's just carrying too much load with the calf and everything around it not being as strong as it can be. So managing the pain of the Achilles so we can strengthen the calf. Without being a doctor, I've probably butchered that, but I think it's something like that. And lately, he's feeling less and less pain, so we can strengthen the rest of his leg.
How's he holding up? Because no doubt love to be out there.
He's always pretty resilient. I think he's really helped us with the ruck coaching stuff and that side of things. But obviously we'd like him to be playing. But he's got a sense of resilience about him that he's dealt with probably since 15, really.
And I wanted to ask you, in terms of running with the flight of the ball, it's the bravest thing to do in footy, but it's also the most dangerous, but potentially devastating consequences.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to your players on that front?
No, just play. Yeah, I think it's really hard to pull out when you know you can mark it. So I haven't given any advice, but I just think it goes against the grain I could go for this and mark it. I think you should just go for it and mark it. So I don't know if Witherden saw. I think he thought he was on his own, to be honest. So maybe have a look before you go. But that's just the game. And I think we like the bravery, and sometimes it comes as a consequence.
Would you say though you'd like if the media didn't highlight when guys do pull out? Like I know some today that's about Dacos pulling out. I mean, it's not helpful with the concussion debate.
Oh, you guys do what you want to do, whether I want you to or not. So I'm not going to bother. All due respect, you do what you got to do.
It's a hard game to second guess yourself, isn't it? Like we're talking split seconds,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah, there's always moments in every game where someone reacts the way they should or shouldn't have, and they'll review it with their coaches, and if it's a pattern, they work on it. If it's not a pattern, then they just move on. That's how we coach.